What's up guys, TopTierYugioh here, and today we have a little bit of a different video. I just watched the first episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, and so I want to share with you guys my thoughts and first impressions on it. And if you guys are interested in this type of video, definitely let me know down in the comment section below or like this video. I'm going to put a poll in the top right corner of the screen, so if you guys are interested in more Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains episode reviews, let me know. I'd really like to know about that because this anime was pretty good actually. I was surprised. And so if a lot of you guys didn't know actually, and as you can sort of see on the screen, one of my bookmarks is my anime list. I'm a big fan of anime. And so this is sort of right down my alley, but I actually haven't watched any of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Animes in a very long time. And so growing up when I was younger, I did watch like the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. I used to read some of the mangas. I watched GX, I watched 5Ds, but I didn't watch Zexal or Arc V. And so it's been a long time since I've seen a Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. And I've watched a lot of other animes in the meantime, but just not the Yu-Gi-Oh! One. And so I'm gonna finally give Yu-Gi-Oh! A second chance in their anime, and really I was not disappointed. I really liked it so far. And so sort of the premise of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains is that, it takes place in like a city called Din City, and then most of their dueling is done online within a virtual reality called the Vrains. And then within the Vrains there was something called the Cyverse. And it didn't quite explain what the Cyverse was, and I'm sure we'll find out later. At least I missed that part if they did. But inside of Vrains there's the Cyverse, and that's, I guess, somewhere where they take information from, or it's like an information network within the virtual reality. But then there was an AI program named Ignis, and then Ignis hid the Cyverse from everyone else within it. And so no one else within the Vrains can find the Cyverse anymore, and only Ignis knows where it is or how to find it. And so the antagonist of the series, the Knights of Hanoi, are trying to find Ignis so that they can find the Cyverse and I think get rid of it. But then on the other side of things, you have SOL Technologies, which is the company that makes all of these technological advancements, such as the dual disc, the Vrains, and they handle all of these things like firewalls of the city and etc. They're also trying to find Ignis so that they can find the Cyverse and then extract what's called data material from the Cyverse. And so you have everyone looking for Ignis and trying to find the Cyverse. You have sort of two sides of the same coin, SOL Technologies and the Knights of Hanoi, both trying to find Ignis. But then Ignis sort of falls into our main character's lap. Our main character, whose name is Yusaku, and he's a student at school. He's like a school student, but then he also is a very well-known player within the Vrains as well. But nobody knows his real-life persona is the same as the one in the game. And his in-game persona is named Playmaker. And Playmaker is really well known for being the guy who's going against the Knights of Hanoi, who are the antagonists. And the Knights of Hanoi sort of seem like they're sort of like a terrorist group, it seems, to everybody within the show. Like, everybody knows about them, everybody's scared of them. They only showed them sort of attacking the city. Like, they had a if you guys have looked at Code of the Duelist, there's a card in there called Cracking Dragon, and there's a guy from Knights of Hanoi who's like riding a cracking dragon through the city, and it was like breathing fire on people, like setting people on fire, burning down buildings. It was crazy. Like, I did not expect that from a Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. Like, back in my day, you couldn't have cards setting people on fire in the anime. That was a little wild for me, but it was really interesting. And so I guess that's sort of the premise. Like, everyone's trying to find Ignis, but then Yusaku ends up finding him. And so I guess what will happen in the future is, because Yusaku is already an antagonist to the Knights of Hanoi, who are the villains of the series, it seems, it'll be interesting to see where the SOL Technologies company ends up being, because they don't seem like they're the best people, but it seems like they could probably side with Yusaku, one, because he has Ignis, and two, because they're also against the Knights of Hanoi. So it's a weird dynamic here. I'm interested to see where it goes from there. And so the premise and the story seem like they seem very good so far. And now as for the characters, we haven't really seen too many of them yet, but I do like the main characters so far. And so as I said earlier, the main character's name is Yusaku, and he's a school student by day, duelist by night. And we don't know too much about him, but from our interactions that we've seen with him, I'm a big fan of him. I really like some of the things he's done and said so far. And so, like, there's this one moment early in the episode where he was sleeping in class. Like, he fell asleep, and everyone just like walked out of the class and left him sleeping in the classroom. But one guy comes and like wakes him up, and he's like, "What are you still doing here, dude? Class is over. Let's go." But the dude was like really enthusiastic about Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, he's like, "Look at my brand new dual disc, blah blah blah. Have you seen the Vrains? Have you heard of this dude named Playmaker? He's so cool. I want to be like the Playmaker." And then Yusaku's like, "Cool story, bro." What a scrub. And the guy just keeps going on and on about like these like irrelevant things to him. Like Yusaku is not giving him any attention. It's pretty funny actually. And then he completely savages this random kid. Like he's like, look dude, you're a scrub, and I can give you 3 reasons why you're a scrub. First, you bragged about your dual disc and not about any of the cards in your deck, so you know you're probably bad. 2, you said you haven't even gone into the Vrains yet because you're probably not confident in your own skills. And again, the Vrains is like where they duel online. It's like their virtual reality, so they don't really duel in the real life. They duel in the Vrains. So not going into the Vrains is like a testament of his skill. And then finally, the 3rd reason why he said that his classmate was a scrub was that he judged Yusaku on his appearance. Because like this dude, when he woke Yusaku up in the classroom, he's like, oh, you're sleeping in class. I bet you're not even like that good. I bet you haven't heard of the Playmaker, have you? He's like, oh, your dual disc is old? Look at my brand new dual disc. You know what? I'll teach you how to duel. So it was like pretty interesting how this like random dude was judging Yusaku based on his appearances. Like because Yusaku didn't have the newest dual disc and he did, he sort of looked down on him originally. But then Yusaku's like, no scrub. You don't judge people based on appearances. And so I actually really like that he made these 3 points because I think they're sort of analogous with real life in the real Yu-Gi-Oh community. So like his first point about bragging not really amounting to much is, I think, it's important. It's an important life lesson. So like even in the Yu-Gi-Oh community, there's a lot of things that people brag about. People might brag about having certain achievements in the game like tops. People might brag about having the newest cards or the nicest mat or newest sleeves. There's so many different things that people can brag about, but it just sort of goes to show that these things are just things and they're not really that important in the ultimate grand scheme of things. But then that second point, he was saying that you haven't even gone to the Vrains, so can't be that good. I think this is again another important lesson. I think it just sort of shows a matter of perspective. And so like to the classmate, what is his name? I can't even think of his name actually. Is it Naoki? I think it's Naoki. I think that's him. But Naoki doesn't really he acts like he's really good at first. Like he, in his own realm, in his own perspective, he knows a lot about the game. He's knowledgeable in his own perspective. But to Yusaku, he's not. And I think it just sort of goes to show that there's always going to be people who know more than you, who are better than you. And so you just sort of have to be humble. It's sort of like a lesson for humility. And I think that his experience with Yusaku is going to be really humbling, especially when he learns that Yusaku is the Playmaker. So I think it's going to be really, really humbling. And then his 3rd point was not to judge based on appearances. And now judging skill in Yu-Gi-Oh is actually very important. That's something that I'll probably cover in a later video. But although judging your opponent's skill is important, and judging other players' skill in general is important, you don't do it based on appearances. You do it based on other things. Like you just don't look at somebody and say, oh, you must be bad. Or you don't just like look at the decks they're playing and say, oh, you're bad. Or even what plays they make within a singular game. You don't judge somebody based on that. Or at least you shouldn't, in my opinion. But then our main character just isn't like a jerk. He doesn't just insult this guy and just leave it at that. He gives him sort of 3 bad points and then 3 good points. So it's sort of like constructive criticism. And so he says, first, because he was talking so much about Yu-Gi-Oh, he must really like it. And that's a good thing, of course. Of course, in this world, and I mean, I think from my point of view too, like people who like Yu-Gi-Oh are good people. Like I like people who like similar things as me. So I think that's pretty natural. So that was a good point. And then he was saying because he does have the newest dual disc, he keeps up with the latest Yu-Gi-Oh events. Like he's up to date on the game, and so that's a good thing. And then finally, he went out of his way to talk to a stranger. And I thought this was sort of the most telling thing because Naoki didn't have to talk to Yusaku. He could have left him sleeping in the classroom just like everyone else did. Like everyone else just walked out and just left him there. He came and woke him up and let him know. And I think this says more about him than anything else. So like more than being bad at the game, like having these good personality traits are, I think, more important. And I think Yusaku, he emphasizes that. Like he says, even though you might be a scrub, at least I know that you're a good guy. And that's important because sometimes who you are is much more important in the game. I think sometimes we put so much emphasis on Yu-Gi-Oh and so much emphasis on the game and like what we do in the game and everything about the game. But ultimately, we just want to be good people. It's important just to be a good person. And I think when you have good character traits, it goes a long way in all of your other aspects of life. And so Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains dropping the life lessons in episode 1. I really love it. Other things I really enjoyed were the music and animation. I thought they were really good. I like the opening song. And then multiple times within the anime, I noticed the music was really good. It kind of caught my attention, and it was very good for like the moments that it was happening. Like if a character was thinking something, they had very appropriate musical scores for that. And then during the action scenes, they had, you know, it felt good. Everything felt very natural, and I liked that. It flowed very well. There were good transitions. And of course the animation was very good, but it's hard to judge animation on the first episode because everybody's gonna put their like best animation in episode 1. But like when we want to judge the animation, is gonna be like episode 10. Like, you know, when money gets tight in the studio, like, are they still gonna be giving us top quality animation? We'll see. But for now, in this episode, it was good. Another thing that I did enjoy was seeing some of the cards from Code of the Duelist and just other cards in general from, you know, the real life game that we play. And so like there was a point where we got to see Link Slayer, which comes out in like I think the structure deck. We got to see the Tricksters for a little bit, the Gokis. We saw Decode Talker and Firewall Dragon. They looked really cool. I think Zodiac Hammer Kong and Predaplant something were in there. I think that was a Predaplant. It looked like a Predaplant, but we got to see a lot of cards. Like and actually seeing a lot of these cards animated is really exciting. I think it's something that I've missed from not seeing Arc V or Zexal. And so it's really cool to see that again. And now the only thing that I didn't like about this episode was that it sort of felt like an information dump. So like there were so many new terms that were just like thrown at us. Like, who is Ignis? What is like the AI program? Who is SOS Technologies? Who are the Knights of Hanoi? Where are we at? Like there were so many different things that we just didn't know. Like, what's the Cyverse? Who are these people? What school does he go to? Where are all the other classmates? Like, where is everybody? So there's a lot of things that we don't know yet. And I think these are going to be things that we learn in the future. But it was sort of like frustrating to like not know them now. Like I had to rewind certain parts of the episode to see what was going on. But I think the writers are very well aware of what we know and don't know at this point. Because I remember there was one point where Yusaku was with one of his friends who owned a hot dog stand, it seemed like. And it was actually kind of interesting because inside the hot dog stand there were like computers and all these technology things. Like they could go into the Vrains from the hot dog stand. But he was talking to his friend from the hot dog stand, the guy who owned it, and the owner, his name was Kusanagi, and he was like, it sucks that you don't really enjoy dueling anymore, but we're gonna get revenge on the Knights of Hanoi. We've got to get revenge on them for stealing my brother and then also stealing your past. And so that sort of begs the question, like, why did the Knights of Hanoi take your brother? Who is your brother? What did he do? But then also, what is our main character's past? So, cue tragic backstory. We know we're gonna get one eventually. So hopefully they make it good. So that's something to look forward to. And so ultimately, if I had to give this episode like a score out of 10, I would give it a strong 7.5 to 8 out of 10. Let's say 8 out of 10. We don't want decimal scores around here. So let's say a good 8 out of 10. And I thought it was really good how I thought they built the world very well. Like they really showed off a lot of density, a lot of the Vrains network. We had a lot of interactions with our main character, and I like how they set up his personality. I like his character a lot. I thought the music and the animation were top notch. I thought the pacing was very good. And again, the only thing I didn't like was that there were certain times where it felt like an information dump, so it was really hard to catch up with some of the terminology. But outside of that, I thought it was a very good episode, a very good pilot. And I don't mean this from just like a Yu-Gi-Oh standpoint. Like, I don't mean this like I'm a big fan of Yu-Gi-Oh, so I think all the episodes are good. Like, I clearly didn't watch 2 of the whole series. And so I'm speaking from like an anime critic perspective, to where I thought that this was a technically sound episode. Even outside of Yu-Gi-Oh, like even if this was a completely different series, I would have thought this was a good episode. So I would definitely recommend watching it. And one thing that I thought was interesting was that we didn't actually get any duels in this episode, and I think they hardly even talked about duels, really. And I get why they did it, and I sort of like it. And so the reason I say that is because in a lot of shonen anime, a lot of times they try to fit like a battle in the first episode, and it's hard for your first episode to have both plot and like a fight scene, because both of those require a lot of time to be well fleshed out, especially in your opening episode. Because in your opening episode, you want to set up your plot, you want to kind of show off your setting, introduce the characters, and that's going to take a good amount of your time right there. And on top of that, to toss in a fight scene, it's sort of difficult because, like, for that fight scene to be well fleshed out, like, you're going to need time. Like, you need build up for that fight. So, like, why are we having this fight? You just can't fight for no reason, right? And then within that fight, like, is there going to be much of a conflict? Like, what is the conflict? Is the character going to rise to the action? Or, like, what's going to happen? It's very hard to have an emotionally driven battle sequence. Like, something that the viewer can care about. And it's very important to have that sort of balance between, like, your plot and your battle sequences. And I think in And in this anime, your battle sequences are of course going to be duels. And I think a good example of this actually is if you look at one of like the most legendary shonen animes of all time, Dragon Ball Z. When that series first started, like if you just look at Dragon Ball, Goku couldn't even fight in the first episode. I mean, like he had innate talents and abilities, but he wasn't like a martial artist yet. And so it took their plot to build up to the point to where he could fight, to where it really became what it is now, where you look at like Dragon Ball Super, where they just fight for the hell of it, you know, anytime they want to. But you sort of have to get to that point. Like you just can't start off the back like just dueling all over the place. They wouldn't have had any time for the plot. They either would have been like cheesy duels, or there wouldn't have been time to actually explain why they were dueling. And so I like that they took the route of explaining the plot more and focusing more on that versus the duels, because our next episode it seems like we're going to focus more on the dueling aspect of things. So this seems very well planned, very well thought out. This anime was pushed back like a month, so I guess they had more time to think about things, and I like that. And so once again, let me know if you're interested in more Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains anime reviews. In the top right corner of the screen there is going to be a poll, but also you can let me know down in the comment section below. I'd really appreciate any sort of feedback. I've never done like an anime review before, so I don't really have any sort of methodology for doing these. I'm not sure how I'm going to edit this or anything like that, or what I'm going to show on the screen. I guess right now I'm looking at like YGO organization and stuff, but yeah, I'm not too sure how this is going to really work out. But definitely let me know what you think about this in the comment section below, and also how I can improve these videos, because if I do continue doing this, I want to make these as good as possible. I want to be sure to bring you guys content that you enjoy and will enjoy. And so I'm going to need your guys' help to, you know, let me know what you want to see. Once again, this episode gets like a strong 8 out of 10 in my opinion, and so definitely check it out. And so as always guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.